What's up, Renegades? I am Lupine Fiasco. This is your daily FaB gameplay. Today's game is going to be against Lexi Livewire, Scourge of the classic constructed format. If you are new to the channel, let me be the first to welcome you. What we do here is watch gameplay that I have recorded. I will commentate my decisions, my thought process, and what I would do if I was taking the turn now. We compare that to what I did at the time to see if our line today is more optimal. The goal of all this is to learn from our mistakes, eliminate any sort of bias, any sort of thinking that we won or lost a game due to variance, and try to really optimize and tighten our play patterns. If we improve on Talishar and we bring that skill to paper tournaments, to Road to Nationals, Pro Quests, Callings, we have a much better chance at winning that shiny, shiny cardboard. Let's jump into our sideboard and our game plan now. We have won the die roll. We are going to choose to go second. We want to take advantage of Lexi's turn 0 to block from our hand as much as we can, knowing that we will draw back up to our intellect at the end of our turn. Today's video is going to feature our Kodachi list. That list is available on FaB, and the link is in the video description below if you want to try it out for yourself. While you're in the video description, if you have not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. It is the best way to support me and to ensure that you are seeing free FaB content in your video feed 5 days a week. For any questions or feedback, you can leave a comment. I love hearing from you all. I love interacting with you and the excitement everyone has about FaB. And if at the end of this video you enjoyed it, you learned something, hit that like button for me. I've shown in the past how Emberblade can beat Lexi, but I know a lot of people are skeptical about the ability for Kodachis to do so. Emberblade attacks for 3, Kodachi's attack for 2. Mask of Momentum does not always draw a Lava Burst or Salt the Wound. Is the damage potential there to beat Lexi? And I'm going to show you that it is, but not in the way you might think. We're going to leave our equipment alone. This is everything we want to bring into Lexi. As far as the cards in our 60, all we are going to do is board out our Rise from the Ashes and board in our Command and Conquers. We want to maximize our disruption against Lexi. We have 2 Command and Conquers, 3 Breaking Points, and 3 Warmonger's Diplomacies. Warmonger's Diplomacy is a bit hit or miss in this matchup. A lot of Lexis are teching around it, playing Trench, playing Snapdragon Scalers to eliminate the chance that they get caught with a face-down arrow that completely shuts down their turn. But later in the game, when Lexi does not have the snaps available, or when you think she might be sitting on a 3-of-a-kind, it can really, really help slow her down and get tempo back to you. The biggest means we have to disrupt Lexi is by forcing her to block. If we are putting 6 links on the combat chain, Lexi either needs to commit cards from hand to stop our Mask of Momentum triggers, or she is giving us an additional point of intellect. The reason this works so well against Lexi is that Rangers do not have good armor. And if they bring in armor that blocks well, then they are losing a lot of their offensive capabilities. The standard Lexi loadout of New Horizon, Fiendal Spring Tunic, Hornet Sting, and Snapdragon Scalers does not block well. Lexi does not want to block with New Horizon. She does not want to block with Tunic. She can't block with Snapdragon Scalers, and she only gets 1 block out of Hornet Sting. And if Lexi is bringing in Perch Grapplers instead of Snapdragon Scalers, she blocks better, but she loses her ability to really push damage, and she makes herself more vulnerable to Warmonger's Diplomacy. So while Lexi has better turns than we do, her fair turns deal more damage and have more detrimental on-hits. Her unfair turns are going to be higher damage than ours, we can force her to play a fair game while we set up our unfair turns. We do have to get a little lucky in this game. Codex of Frailty, Arctic Incarceration are both great one-card hands. Three of a Kind is a better two-card hand than anything we can put together if it is paired with a blue. Quiver is a great get-out-of-jail-free card. And overall, Lexi has better disruptive on hits. So we are going to need to get a little lucky. We're going to have to play very tight. The onus is certainly on us to win. The average game of FaB versus Lexi is Lexi's game to lose. But it's possible to force the win, and I'm going to show you how to do it right now. We're in. This is a pretty good opening hand. Lexi choosing to just arsenal a card and pass over to us. We have a few options here. The first thing we're going to do is look at how we can push a Mask of Momentum trigger. We have our Warmonger's Diplomacy. We see that Lexi is on Tunic, not Trench, so she cannot clear this card from Arsenal without playing it. Warmongers here is a fine option. We either turn off Lexi's turn or force her to use Snapdragon Scalers, but we can play a bit more of an impactful turn if we pitch our Warmonger's Diplomacy, attack with Kadachi, Ravenous Rabble. That Rabble is going to force a block from Lexi. It'll either get a card from her hand, or if we reveal a red and Ravenous Rabble is worth 4 points of damage, it'll get a card from hand and the Hornet Sting. Once Lexi has blocked our Ravenous Rabble, we can attack with Breaking Point. That is going to threaten her arsenal, hopefully get more blocks out of her, or if not blocks, destroy the card in arsenal, and we get to arsenal a Lava Burst to set up for a future turn. So this is a pretty good start to the game. We're going to see how Lexi chooses to deal with the Ravenous Rabble. Taking the two Kadachis, let's say that Lexi blocks this second Kadachi with the Hornet Sting. I might be tempted to Ravenous Rabble Lava Burst Breaking Point, but I'm probably not going to. Here, Rabble revealing a red off the top is great news, revealing a Blaze Headlong that we even get to play if the Rabble does hit. See how Lexi wants to block this, committing 2 cards from hand instead of 1 card in the Hornet Sting. They were both reds, so we might be able to put her on having a pretty bad hand, but even so, Breaking Point here, just strong. Lexi showing 4 reds in hand, so even though her turn would not have been all that good, forcing her to do nothing still feels really, really good. Here with our Lava Burst in Arsenal, we can look at this hand and see that without breaking our Snapdragon Scalers, we can only put 5 links on the chain. 2 double strikes, Ronin Renegade, Blaze Headlong, and Lava Burst. Unfortunately, we cannot pick up our Phoenix Flame before we play Lava Burst, and we have a Snatch in hand. So if we did want to put 6 links on the chain, we would need to break our Snapdragon Scalers. There is an argument for playing Snatch here. Leading with the Snatch probably gets a card from hand and a Hornet Sting. We can follow that up with Double Strike, Blaze Headlong. With Hornet Sting gone, Lexi needs to commit 2 cards to blocking the Blaze Headlong. If she does, we follow that with Ronin Renegade, Lava Burst, pick up our Phoenix Flame, and arsenal it. And I actually like that line a lot now that I'm talking it out. Games against Lexi don't go very long. We both deal a lot of damage. Either she is going to find 3 of a Kind Rain Razor, or we are going to find Art of War, and the game will kind of just end. So getting value out of our Snapdragons early is totally fine. We're not looking to keep our Snapdragons late and find that we no longer have an opportunity to play it. So the line I like here is Snatch, using our Snapdragons, either the Snatch gets 2 cards out of Lexi, or it hits and we draw a card and put a link on the chain. Follow the Snatch with Double Strike, Blaze Headlong. We could also say Ronin Renegade, Double Strike, Blaze Headlong. Leading with the Ronin, probably good here, because if Lexi is going to block, she's going to want to block effectively. So she would use 1 card to stop the Ronin Renegade. Now, assuming she blocked Snatch, she only has 2 cards in hand and will not want to commit either of them to blocking a 2 damage Double Strike or a 4 damage Blaze Headlong. So let's see how we sequence. Not starting with the Snatch makes me think that we are going to look to Arsenal it. I'm anticipating following this with Double Strike, then Blaze Headlong. This line is still fine. We're getting 2 cards from Lexi if she blocks from hand and with Hornet Sting. And we're still pushing 6 points of damage on top of this. But I really don't like holding the Snatch. It's a great 1-card play if we're forced to block, but we're putting it into our arsenal where we would have been able to put a Phoenix Flame in arsenal. It's a worse card, but we push more damage in the turn, we get more resources out of Lexi, and we're potentially still getting to arsenal something better than Phoenix Flame if the Snatch hits, or if we get a Mask of Momentum trigger. This hamstring shot coming with Go Again. Let's let it actually hit the field, and I'll talk about blocks. With this hand, Brand with Cinderclaw and a blue, we can attack 4 times. Brand, Kodachi, Phoenix Flame. We also have a Double Strike. So we get to put 6 links on the chain. We can then follow up with a Lava Burst or a Snatch. Our turn potential goes down a bit if this hamstring shot hits because our Brand with Cinderclaw now costs 1. That turn looks like Brand, Kodachi, Double Strike, Lava Burst. We still get to put 6 links on the chain. We don't get to pick up a Phoenix Flame. And if we want to take advantage of the card in hand, then we have to use our Snapdragon Scalers to play the Snatch to clear out our arsenal. So I am inclined to block this hamstring shot with Flamescale Furnace and Lava Burst. We prevent 5 points of damage. We still get to put 6 links on the chain with our 3 remaining cards. All of our attacks have Go Again, so if any of them trigger Mask of Momentum, we have the ability to play the card that we drew without needing to use our Snapdragon Scalers. And if whatever this last card in Lexi's hand is another arrow we want to block, maybe this Floating Resource goes to Voltaire, this Spring Tunic gets used to play, I don't know, Heat Seeker, something detrimental, we still have the option to block 6 from hand and play our Snatch as a 1-card attack. Choosing not to block here gives us higher damage potential. It leaves us the ability to block with our Lava Burst, Flamescale Furnace. But overall, I don't love this line. Heat Seeker here coming for 5 Go Again. Now this is something I do want to block. I don't love giving Lexi 6-card hands, which Heat Seeker here would do. If the Heat Seeker hits, Lexi can choose not to attack with Pathing Helix, get that face-up Heat Seeker trigger, have Snapdragon Scalers to fix the arsenal if neither arrow has Go Again, and get her 4 cards. We are already under the effect of Hamstring Shot, so this hand is already a little clunky. If we use our Lava Burst here to block, keeping in mind that Brand costs 1 resource, we are doing Brand, Kadachi, Kadachi, double strike, snatch. It's a little clunky. We only get to put 6 links on the chain, and the last link is snatch, which Lexi already wants to block. So we kind of priced ourselves into blocking this Heat Seeker. But if we had blocked the hamstring shot instead, our offense looks quite a bit better. Now, do we want to, with all that in mind, do we block this Heat Seeker? If we take the damage, we go to 29. Lexi has a 6-card hand. Our hand looks a little clunky. How we would actually sequence this is start with Snatch, pitch the Brand to play it, use our Snapdragon Scalers. With 2 floating resources, we get to attack with Brand, Kadachi, Kadachi, double strike, Lava Burst, which still seems like a fine turn. We have 3 draw triggers on the chain. The first one being Snatch is very difficult for Lexi to block. So I think I do want to take this Heat Seeker damage. Keeping in mind that we didn't block the hamstring shot, which I think was our best line. Now I don't want to block this Heat Seeker either. We give Lexi a 6-card hand, but we are throwing quite a bit of damage at her that she's going to need to commit cards to blocking. Choosing instead to block the Heat Seeker damage, understandable. I don't think it's necessarily a problem. Lexi correctly not playing Pathing Helix. With the hamstring shot trigger, this Brand costs 1. We can only put 5 links on the chain, and only 2 of them are Draconic. Do we want to lead with Snatch? It costs 1 resource. We use our Snapdragon Scalers to get it go again. Our follow-up to that is just a bit weak. A lot of 2s and 1s. And we get cards out of Lexi to block it. I think it could be worth it. Lexi could give us her Tunic and a card from hand, but based on these life totals, this game will go long enough that Lexi would get another Tunic activation, so getting the Tunic here is not bad. Again, using our Snapdragon Scalers before the game progresses too long is a really good thing to do. So I do like starting with Snatch here. Instead, attacking with Kadachi. So this line is going to be Kadachi, Kadachi, double strike for 1. This is a really frustrating chain for Lexi to block because she's either committing her Tunic or she's using a card from hand. I don't love this either. So this Brand is going to hit. And the advantage of sending Brand instead of double strike is that Tunic can't block it. But Lexi feels a lot better about blocking a Brand for 2 than a double strike for 1. In any case, everything hits. We do draw a Draconic starter, which is nice. We are going to get to pick up our Phoenix Flame here for free, putting another link on the chain. We're going to finish this up with Snatch. We are not going to blind snap this Snatch. We'll feel really silly if we draw Assault the Wound, and really good if we draw literally anything else. Big damage from our side, but Lexi now has a 5-card hand that she apparently feels very good about. We're going to see how this all pays out for Lexi. We have very good blocks on our side of the board. Here, Mask of Momentum has done its job. I am fine to block with this. Bolt and Shot here coming for 5. We aren't going to block, and we're not going to block because Lexi still has 2 cards from hand. If she really wants to attack with an arrow from hand, she can. Playing Codex to grab a Bolt and Shot from Arsenal. Bolt and Shot still under the effects of Rain Razor, coming for 5. And ending with an Endless Arrow for 6. We can talk about whether we want to block this Endless Arrow or not. If we do block this Endless Arrow, we are committing Mask of Momentum, Flamescale Furnace, and Soulbeat Strike from hand. We are under the effects of Frailty, so our 2 Kodachis attack for 0. Meaning this turn looks like 3, 3, 3, 1, 2, for a total of 12 damage. Lexi has a card in Arsenal already. Because Lexi has the Ponder token, I'm a lot less inclined to block this Endless Arrow. And the reason for that is Lexi can't Arsenal both of them. She keeps the Endless Arrow, she draws her Ponder, one of them goes to her Arsenal, the other one stays in her hand. If this Endless Arrow was going to set up a 6-card hand on Lexi's next turn, blocking it would feel a lot better, but because she only has a 5-card hand, I'm more interested in letting it hit. The other reason to let it hit is with our 5 cards, even without Kodachis, we can put 6 links on the chain. 1, 2, 3, 4. Activate 5 to grab a Phoenix Flame as link 5. Soulbeat Strike is link 6. So we're pushing pretty good damage with our 3 red head jabs, and we're getting 2 blocks out of Lexi. Neither one is going to be easily blocked by the Spring Tunic. We can open our attack with Brand, send our head jabs. Our Phoenix Flame gets the Shuko buff to get it up to 2 power, and Soulbeat Strike already has 2 power. So I feel better about letting this Endless Arrow hit than I do about blocking it. Yes, we took 22 damage on this turn, but we are still in a fine position. We still have almost all of our armor, and we are going to force Lexi to either block or give us a 5th point of intellect for the turn. Here, Lava Vein Loyalty, unfortunately having 2 power thanks to Frailty. You're still going to get a whole arrow from Lexi if she wants to stop this Brand damage. Deciding whether we want to send Phoenix Flame or Rising Resentment first. I think sending Rising first is fine. Lexi decides to block. So with Lexi deciding to block, I want to Arsenal the Phoenix Flame. We'll attack with Soulbeat Strike for 3, see if we can push a little damage, then pick up our Phoenix Flame and Arsenal it. We're losing out on 1 point of damage this turn by doing it, but the Soulbeat Strike is already getting the Shuko trigger, so we aren't missing that. We are playing around more Codex of Frailty by having a card in our arsenal to prevent the discard, and we are making sure that a hand full of Blaze Headlongs and Lava Vein Loyalties is playable without using our Snapdragon Scalers. Lexi flipping Endless Arrow, playing Arctic Incarceration, and setting up a 6-card hand is going to prevent us from really going off this turn. If Arctic hadn't been played, I'm really excited about Art of War and a blue, but as it is, we'll be pitching this Warmonger's Diplomacy to clear Frostbite. What we can do this turn is start with our Brand with Cinderclaw, pitch our Warmonger's Diplomacy to play it. We can then pitch our Art of War to attack with Kodachi and a Phoenix Flame. Then we play a Breaking Point. We're still pushing really good damage against Lexi. We are presenting a Mask of Momentum trigger, and we're presenting Breaking Point. So Lexi's going to have to block quite a bit to stop us from drawing a card, which she really wants to do, and stopping us from hitting her with the breaking point, which would get 2 arrows from her arsenal. Pitching Art of War to attack with Kodachis does feel bad, but that is the necessary play here in order to take Lexi off of a 6-card hand. Following this with our Phoenix Flame as the Mask of Momentum trigger, getting a whole arrow from Lexi to stop the damage is great. And then we push 5 damage, which is going to get 2 cards from Lexi to stop. Pushing 4 damage against Lexi, leaving her with 2 cards in arsenal and 1 card in hand, puts us in a really good position. Here, our hand looking fine. It's an okay hand. We block very well to deal with this 3 of a kind, which is really, really good for us. With our opponent at 2 life, Mask of Momentum is just 2 points of defense. We no longer trigger Mask of Momentum. Falcon Wing for 4 is just damage. That is totally fine. Here, Bolt and Shot for 3 is also just damage. While Lexi has a card in Arsenal, she does not get the reload effect from Bolt and Shot. Let's talk about this Endless Arrow for 4. It does not have Go Again, and Lexi cannot play Rain Razors from hand under the effects of 3 of a kind. So we could take this damage and go to 1. Let's look at our hand and see if that is something we want to do. This hand is worth a fair amount of damage. We can Enlighten Strike, bottom our Command and Conquer, draw a card, and use our Snapdragon Scalers. That's 5. We can then play our other Enlighten Strike, bottoming whatever the other card is. Let's say it is anything that doesn't deal as much damage as Lava Vein Loyalty. We bottom that. Let's say it's a Snatch or a Blaze Headlong. We bottom Lava Vein Loyalty. That is another 5. And the turn with Lava Vein. We're looking at a 13 damage hand. Lexi effectively at 5 life between New Horizon and Spring Tunic. If we present 13 damage, she needs to block 12 to not be dead. She would get to keep 1 card. She blocks with 3 or 4 cards from hand. If she wants to keep one of those cards, then she needs to block with New Horizon and Spring Tunic. For this Endless Arrow, I don't really love going to 1 life. Let's block with Mask of Momentum and Tiger Stripe Shuko. The reason being that our Mask is now done. We no longer get value out of Mask. The Shuko, we could think about keeping it. Honestly, we should. This Endless Arrow is not presenting any on-hits, so there's no reason to block it out in its entirety. If we keep Shuko, we could block an Infecting Shot or a Searing Shot. I take it back. Let's just block with Mask of Momentum here. We'll go to 3. We keep our 13 damage hand. We use our Snapdragon Scalers, and we put Lexi on 1 card. This play I really disagree with. I'm not sure why I'm so married to keeping Mask of Momentum here. Maybe I'm just thinking I want to block this Exact Seize, but we're sacrificing a lot of damage to make this work. Yes, we follow this E-Strike for 5 with an E-Strike for 7. We're only missing out on 1 point of damage, but that 1 point of damage could be significant. Lexi's at 2. 1 point of damage is half of her remaining life total. Here we do get an overblock from Lexi, which is cool for us. We send E-Strike for 7, and we will see we could have presented lethal, right? We would also get Lexi's New Horizon if we were sending an additional point of damage. And in fact, we might even get more from Lexi. She overblocked on our last Enlightened Strike. This Enlightened Strike, she blocks for 5, gives us these 2 cards. Then we send Lava Vein Loyalty, so we get the Tunic and the New Horizon. Here, essentially, we deal 2 less points of damage because we aren't getting the New Horizon. And that's all because we really wanted to keep this Mask of Momentum, and we really didn't want to take damage from Endless Arrow, and neither of those things should have been our priority. And if we get the New Horizon, then Lexi loses this card in Arsenal, which is significant that she has an Arctic Incarceration. If she loses the Arctic Incarceration, the game just ends. As it is, we draw a very good hand to play around the Arctic Incarceration. We got very lucky. We have a blue and 2 yellows. Lexi is at 1. So 1 Kodachi will get blocked by New Horizon. 1 Kodachi gets blocked by a card from hand. We are going to send our Ravenous Rabble. Hopefully it reveals a red and we get 2 cards from Lexi's hand to stay alive. She has 1 card to work with. It has to be Arctic or Codex for anything to happen. If it is any arrow, she probably loses the game. How are we sequencing this? Our first Kodachi is going to cost 5. So we attack with Kodachi, we pitch our Lava Vein Loyalty and Salt the Wound. We'll follow that up with a Brand with Cinderclaw, then play a Ravenous Rabble. 1, 2, 4. Should be enough to get 3 cards out of Lexi's hand. Here, attacking with Brand with Cinderclaw. This is a better line than what I just suggested. It achieves the same thing as what I said. We reveal a red, Rabble comes in for 4. We're still getting New Horizon and 3 cards out of Lexi's hand, but we activate 5, we attack with Phoenix Flame. Phoenix Flame gets the Shuko trigger, so it attacks for 2. It's better practice, right? We do more damage. This is a situation where it doesn't matter that we're doing more damage, but we could find ourselves in a different situation later where it does matter that we did 2 points of damage instead of 1. We just had to turn this game where missing out on 1 point of damage ended up being incredibly significant. Lexi playing Codex of Frailty. We will see she gets a Searing Shot. That's fine. We have 4 armor remaining. We can just block this with armor and kill Lexi with whatever's left in our hand. We have Double Strike, Rising Resentment, Lava Vein Loyalty. As long as we pick anything that costs 0, has Go Again, and is Draconic from our discard pile, we are going to get to attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times this turn. We win the game. We can take a Brand with Cinderclaw, Blaze Headlong, Rising Resentment. All of it would work for what we were trying to accomplish. We are going to take our Blaze Headlong, discard our Mounting Anger. Searing Shot here gets blocked with armor, and then we win the game. So we played a bit sloppy at times. I think waiting on the Snapdragon Scalers for as long as we did was a mistake. We should have fired it off much sooner, given our Snatch, Go Again, get so many cards from Lexi on blocks. The turn that we did use Snapdragon Scalers, we blocked suboptimally, really trying to preserve armor that didn't matter. The Mask of Momentum and Shuko blocking Searing Shot that last turn was really, really good. But if we had blocked with it sooner, Lexi wouldn't even have gotten that far. She wouldn't have had the opportunity to play the Codex. We played sloppy. Those are mistakes that we really want to tidy up before our next game against Lexi. It's the whole reason we do this exercise by reviewing our gameplay. But even with those mistakes, we presented a very solid game plan. We drew good disruption. We were lucky into the Arctic incarcerations, but we never had a huge turn. We never got to play an Art of War. We beat multiple 3-of-a-kinds, multiple codices, rain razors, 2 Arctic incarcerations. We did the thing that we need to do, and it's something that you can do in your games too. Lexi is a hard matchup. She is favored into FaB. She can certainly high roll you. Rain razors plus 3-of-a-kind, Arctic incarceration when your hand is all reds. That is just going to happen. It's going to feel terrible. There isn't much you can do about it. But in the average game of Lexi, even when she gets to do some unfair things, you can still play smart and play tight and get the win. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found this helpful. The Devil Lexi is public enemy number 1 going into ProQuest season. She's beatable. She is a challenge that can be overcome. And how great is it going to feel when you win that shiny, shiny cardboard and she doesn't? If you have any questions or feedback from me, you can leave them in the comment section below. Please like this video if you found it helpful. And if you want more FaB content in your feed 5 days a week, please subscribe to the channel. I will see you all back here tomorrow for more FaB gameplay. Until then, take care of yourselves and have a good one.